Hey guys,
Hey, how are you doing today?
I'm doing all right. Long time no see.
Yeah, we were just talking over on Shaw's channel yesterday evening. So,
Less than 24 hours ago.
yeah. Yeah, we started at 7 over there. There is again no Steve tonight. He is still on vacation. Uh I think he said he'll be back on Saturday, but if he's not, oh well. He will be back next week.
What are we talking about today? Yesterday we talked about the H-1B problem. We kind of alluded and talked about some of the problems of the challenges that face men, particularly young men. Now, Steve might be a little out of touch. Boomer Steve might be a little out of touch with that one.
Yeah, us young guys, we're taking over the chat here.
No, I think Steve does know, but he's not here to defend himself, so I could throw a few things his way.
Watch, he'll show up. Yeah, it's late enough for him. It might be either that, or we'll find out that he's like, passed out drunk on, on a boat somewhere. Hey, Steve, if you're in the chat, love you, dude, but I still have to make fun of you. So, okay, so yeah, we're gonna be. I think we talked. I think I mentioned it briefly at the end of our stream with Shaw last night. What I asked a question. What are the three things that men need? In this particular case, to have a family, kids, etc.
A mission or career or job, not just over broke, as some people say, but something that where can, you have something a stable thing that you do that makes money. You can call it a job, a career, whatever you want. And you need what's the other one? Oh, a house. Place to have a family, right? Place to call your own. And then not just any woman, but a loyal woman.
Well, okay. Why is a loyal woman important?
Because these 304s ain't loyal.
Well, there's another reason though. It's a little more practical. How long does it take to raise a kid?
Uh, 18 years ish.
18, 20, 22. Depending on how long you're going to take care of, are you going to take care of college or not? Yes, I understand all you parents that as they get older, they require less effort, time, and they're more involved with school. I get it, but the point is that you're going to need a helpmate, to use I believe that's one of the Bible translations of Eve.
Yep.
You need a helpmate for a good long while.
Help me. Yeah. Yep.
Okay, so when these hoes ain't loyal, why would you want to have kids with a hoe? You know, no loyalty. We talk
Well,
in the
that's
red.
short term thinking. That's short term thinking.
Well, yeah,
Do they really want to have kids with these, or they just say, "Hey, this is what it is," and roll the dice, or maybe it's just a accident.
yeah. Um, what do I want to have? Think about it from the perspective of helmet tacticus. Love it. There you go, Nick. That's for you.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, think about it in terms of raising kids is a long-term prospect. And in the red pill, we're always saying, okay, these hoes ain't loyal, so don't be loyal to them. And that is completely valid advice. It is. If if the hoe ain't loyal to you, don't be loyal to the hoe, right?
Don't wipe them up.
Yeah. I think we've all said that. I
Inseminate
think we
them.
all agree.
Do not ask for hell on earth. Do not inseminate them, please.
Yeah, exactly. But if you're looking at this from the standpoint of a boomer tradcon or even a millennial tradcon, as much as that pains me to say, you're looking at it going, oh, but the birth rates are down. Well, okay. These hoes ain't loyal. Yeah, I'll spin plates with them, but as Nick said, don't inseminate them. Don't knock them up. Oh, well, now what do I do? So I've got, and we were talking about H1B's stuff last night, and there's a lot of different problems out there with the workplace right now. Yeah, the DEI, the government did ban DEI, and that's a step in the right direction.
That's a great step.
Yeah,
No
and
more equal opportunity or affirmative action bullcrap where somebody is less of a human being. Where basically you're saying you have to accept somebody who's less of a human being than another because of the color of their skin.
yeah. And so that happened at the federal government level. From what I saw on Twitter, there were a number of large business leaders who were like, "Yeah, we're over DEI. We're done with it. It wasn't good for us.
Yeah,
We're
always.
yeah." So it things will get better. I actually got called by a recruiter back on. Let's see, the election was November 6th, right? I believe it's November. No, it's November 5th. I got called on November 7th by a recruiter that says, "Oh yeah, we got a bunch of stuff opening up. Do you know anybody? Are you looking?" Um, they knew, like the businesses, they kind of knew what was going to happen before it happened. Uh, so you could say, okay, the job situation's improving. I would argument that I would make the argument that the economy itself is, not that great. So yeah, some things will start moving, but we're, it's still not that great. Economies up, they go down. That's by itself, that's not enough of a reason. But let's understand that we're trying to turn we're trying to turn a super tanker here. You start turning now, it'll be 10 miles and 10 years later before you actually get somewhere.
And that's if something doesn't change with the next administration, and then that's all.
Yeah. So,
But housing, I haven't seen housing. I've seen it maybe go down a little bit in some places, but
yeah, housing, I think Austin's down 15%.
it's not bad. It's go down a lot more.
Well, and there's a bunch of places in the country that aren't down. Like Austin was kind of this bubbly, uh, it was there was a lot of tech that moved there, probably 21, 22. And so it got a little bubbly.
But didn't a lot of the tech stuff they got fired by Mr. Uh, Elon and replaced with H1B,
Well, an H1B needs a home too,
the temporary home?
in theory.
Do they really add much to the economy, or do they send it elsewhere? Oh, we found out they sent it back, and it's what pretty much they got some tax loopholes, home loan loopholes, all sorts of stuff. So yeah, jobs, housing, and women. Well, how did we get here? Well, we started talking about. No, I'm not going to say it's the boom list. I got something in my credit set. Yes, I'm on my Yeti mic.
Okay, doesn't sound like it.
Probably my feedback for my earplugs are charging. Not
Okay.
earplugs, ear headphones. I can't get the right word. All right. So like the So the boomer generation with their Nietzschean philosophy, where they basically had, I would say, the red carpet rolled out for them. They did not experience much scarcity. They said, "Hey, you go to college, you got a job." They had on-the-job training, all these benefits, retirement. A lot of them had a long, stable job in a business. Many of them inherited their family's business if they didn't go out into the business world or work whatever they did.
Many
But
many of
what are
them
these
have
boomers?
well, many of them have pensions,
Mm,
private pensions. Not all. I'm not gonna, all the boomers in the chat. Yeah, yeah, I know it's not all, but you were the last generation for which pensions were a thing. Um, uh, if you work for the federal government, for a number of state governments, you have a pension, like the California CalPERS. That's a big pension system. But even if you had there were some pensions for big, like here's a name you haven't heard, IBM.
mm.
They they had those for a bunch of people. I know a lot of that's gone away. I'm not trying to out here say it's all, but you were the last generation to know what a private pension was.
And I think they might have had some loyal women, might have been a little bit better for them. But actually, I think the boomers actually experienced the first rebellion or feminism come back into society on steroids.
Well, I think for them, particularly the boomers, the Xers, it depends on where you are in their generational range, but for the boomers particularly, all dating was local. If you were a woman, you had to select from your local geography.
I mean, that's what college was for, right? If they went to college, that was like an extent. That'd be like that was like the advanced dating for them was. Oh, let's send you to this massive school. There's just a massive amount of people from mostly around the state, some out of state people, but let's send you to this massive education system. And what did a lot of them do? They either got married high school right after high school, or after in college or after college,
Yeah.
while they're still in their peak fertility years.
Well,
Amazing.
but see, even with a college, you're in a restricted geography with a restricted set of possibilities,
Right. I'm
right?
just saying it's a little bigger than what it was with the previous generation.
Yeah, a little bit bigger, but it's not the it's not the literal globe. It's not the literal world where you can pull up Instagram and put put some bikini pictures out and get solicited by dudes from
All around.
a different continent, right?
Send the media.
Right. So what you know, well, we're talking about how okay, you talk about these hoes ain't loyal. Well, there's a bit of a duh factor here. Why would they be loyal? They've got the literal world to choose from, and we all know from time immemorial that women are going to choose, when something better comes along, they're going to choose the better. So why not wait a bit and see if some rich dude from Dubai hits you up?
Ooh. But is that guy really looking to capitalize on her? I mean, he might be.
Does she
Or
care?
no. She wants attention and fun.
Right.
Free
It's
vacation. Lavish vacation. Oh, I'll fly you out. We'll go on my private yacht. We'll do this and this and this and that. And they probably have a string of girls lined up to do that.
yes, they do. some of the stories I've read, they actually have like a concierge service. So there will be a guy who manages the stream of girls. Oh yeah, reading some of the Dubai porta potty stories are just it it makes you want to gouge your eyes out. And there's no pictures in these stories I was reading. It was just the guys, the girls and the guys swapping notes on how they do what they do. You would be on Instagram typically somebody who so basically the guy whose account it is has somebody running his account for him so that he's not
Okay.
doing it. That person will reach out to you, say, "Hey, I represent this person for $25,000. We'll fly you out. We'll pay you $25,000. We'll fly you out. We'll put you on a yacht for 50,000. We'll, if we'll give you 50,000 if you do this insert horrifically disgusting act that they love to do." And it's like,
Oh. Huh.
yeah, but if you're one of these girls, for 1 week you can make $50,000.
Wow.
Now, yeah, I know OnlyFans has replaced some of that, but there are certain fetishes that cannot be done remotely, shall we say? So if anything, all OnlyFans has done is inflated the price of the in-person services, which doesn't bother the women that do
And,
this.
and, and and let's be honest, how many of these women really have standards? How many are actually virgins when they get married? And how many, well, let's just say, they get inseminated and they want to get rid of uh, the person within them. And yet we still want to say they have some sort of moral standards. We want to really know. Yeah, there's few,
Right.
but they're literally doing that type of crap.
And these girls will tell you that what they're doing is it's what's their favorite term? It's they're strong and independent and they don't, they get they're empowered. I
They
don't know
don't
how.
need no man.
Yeah, it's like, okay, great. You just have to be degraded in one of the most disgusting ways possible in order to be strong and independent. Okay, congratulations. Here's your sign, as Bill Engvall would say.
Here, time your way, or as Hamilton Harris did, uh, blow your way to the top.
Right. So, but now, yeah, Tacticus, healing journey. Yeah, right. So, okay, these girls, they go off and they do some nasty shit, just nasty.
That
But
no, the keyword on that second word, right?
oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. No, I used it intentionally. Um, okay, they go off and they do this, and they make obscene amounts of money. Like if there was one story I was reading. This girl said, "Oh yeah, I'll do this once a month." Okay, so she's pulling in. Okay, that's what 30
No.
30,000 a year, 300. Sorry, 300,000 a year, 300,000 a year to do this, and you do that for a few years. You do that for 3 4 years. You're a millionaire by the time you're done, and then some guy is supposed to come wife you up. Oh, and it can't just be any guy. It's got to be a guy who can afford to fly you around and meet your lifestyle in $300,000 years. Like it. And this is just one of the challenges men face. And an average woman can go get shit on by a dude in the Middle East and make a ton of money. And okay,
Mhm. Oh
and,
man.
and 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 I'm supposed to want to wife this up because look, here's the deal. Even if she's a reformed, Christian girl now, why why would I trust her to not drop me the moment that somebody with more money came along?
Right.
And there's certain groups of guys out there who will say things, oh well dude, you've just got to compete harder, you've just got to you
Pull
know.
yourself up by your bootstraps. When I was young, I'm
Well, no,
still.
but even with women, they say, oh well, if you can't get, if you can't, it's this loop back to, if you can't keep the woman, clearly there's something you did wrong. We've talked about this before, probably been ages since we've talked about it. But what, at what point do you sit down and say, you know what, young man, you didn't do anything wrong. There was nothing you could have done differently. And the other thing that, actually, this is a bit of a trap we fall into. Hindsight is 2020. So when a guy gets married to a whore who he either doesn't know as a whore or his blue pill conditioning prevents him from seeing as a whore, we kind of look at it and go, ha ha, you got burned. Maybe less of that. Maybe accepting that.
Yeah, you got fucked, buddy. I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
Well, with guys, it's like, acknowledge that where they were is not where they are today. That they are a different person who has learned something. Yeah,
Yep.
when you're red pilling a guy, it's rough, but just, you didn't. He wasn't there when he got himself into this meth. So a little compassion might go a long way.
Yeah, a lot of compassion will help. That's one thing. All of a sudden, when you say shit hits the fan for me, all of a sudden it's like, yep, glad people come and say, yeah, now you know. I'm here for you. Tried telling you, you wouldn't listen. Nothing I can do. Some lessons you don't know till you know,
Right.
and you're not willing to listen to the truth sometimes because you think that, oh, it can't happen to me. I'm doing everything right. I got a godly woman, going to church, praying, you know, family worship, raising my kids in the fear and admonition of the Lord. Oh, it'll never happen to me.
No, it will, because it's happened to. Okay, Steve. Oh, yeah, I'll pull that one up.
Oh, there he is.
I figured he might show up at some point. But even the convenience store clerk has an entitlement attitude, even though she's a 4 and 40 pounds overweight, not to mention the tattoos and the nose ring. Oh,
No
God.
brain.
I mean,
Like that's like telling me to stay away. Okay, like before I was even red pill, like yeah, before I was red pill, I might say yeah, okay, the bright colors might overlook some tattoos, but that nasty nose, oh, that bull ring, whatever it is, those things that they got, like little, sometimes the two prongs sticking out. Oh, that is just absolutely unattractive.
yeah. Yeah, for me, it was just like, "Bleh,
No,
don't need that."
you don't have to be red pill. Dude, that does not look good at all. That's
Well,
gross.
and there are a lot of guys out there outside of the red pill space who will say, uh, the two things they hate are sleeve tats and the bull ring, and it's just like that's a lot of guys. They've done surveys on this, and it's like 40% of guys are like, nah, don't like it.
No. Oh, so you have these you know these women, like Steve says, they all think they're the 10, right, or an 8, but they might be a 4, 5, or 6. But the 10, because of the global marketplace that we were talking about earlier, oh, with a dating app or some guy that they meet, he's willing to spend spend the night spend the night with her. Here, I'll be Christian. I'll be innuendo. Getting to know each other, but only temporarily. He might want it to be longer, but nah, he's just pumping and dumping. But in the girl's mind, no, I can get that guy, and that's what I deserve.
Right. And look, there's not anything we can do about female delusion. There just isn't.
Nope.
And I'm not trying to say that tonight, we're not talking about, oh, how to beat female delusion. This is a message for the younger guys out there that we know that this happens. We acknowledge that this happens. There pretty much isn't anything that's going to be done about it. And this is just going to be one of the challenges you face in dating. Look, I'm not going to say all girls are that delusional. There is a spectrum here. And a lot of guys say, oh, I'll go be a passport bro. Okay, well, let's talk about that at some point. That's a whole nother video. But I'll tell you right now, money. That money is what makes the passport game bro work. So, okay, so what a okay, now I want a girl. I got to have money. Either I have money to get one of these expensive Instagram thoughts, or I have to have money to go get an import. So you can't really the men out there, the young men particularly, who don't have access to the experience of dealing with whores, they don't have access to money. I can understand why they're either depressed or angry or both.
Give me 1 second.
Oh, Chief. Oh,
I'm gonna put my
this.
headphones in.
Okay. Uh, Chief, this hurts. Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. Yeah, don't lose sight of the horizon and spin your way into the ocean. That's yeah. Well, and yeah, fly by instruments. That's actually a good way to describe it, because what we're saying here is you have to learn to trust the data that you're receiving and not what your lying eyes are telling you. So, but what are these guys supposed to do? They don't have jobs that pay well. They don't have a house. They don't have, the women that they have access to. I mean, a lot of guys would say, "Oh, we'll just marry a 4," but what do you do when the 4 thinks she's an 8? What do you do with that?
What do you do when it just doesn't work?
Yeah.
She's 50 pounds overweight, and the face ain't that pretty.
It's depressing, and lots of people in the red pill, they talk about wanting to help old guys, and I'm just kind of like, yeah, old guys are the least interesting problem in the building right now, because old guys have access to the most resources. Old guys have access to the widest range of pussy. They can go from anybody from their age to 20, 30 years younger, and there will be a girl out there willing to sign up for that, even temporarily. So congratulations, you're helping the most you're helping the class of hurt, damaged guys that have the most options. And I'm not saying that we need to step in and do DEI bullshit, but for young men, and try and do forced leveling, but helping the old guys doesn't actually help anything. It just doesn't.
No.
The young
They're
guys are where
saying
the
that these
future is.
for resources, if they're are perhaps semi good looking and have resources, these 304s or even some of the other women will opt for the older guy
Right.
because the younger guy is DEI'd, H1B'd out of a job, housing's like 100% overinflated.
400%, but yes.
So how much?
400.
Oh, it's 400% overinflated.
Yeah, housing, median house price in the United States is 400,000 in 2023. So we use the term constant dollars, which is just a way of calculating inflation. In 2023, constant dollars, the median house price was 400,000. In 2023 constant dollars, the median house price in 1985 was 100,000. So in 40 years, we've gone up 400%. The last time you saw anything like that was the Dutch tulip craze in the 1600s. So
Wow.
it's been a minute since we've seen something as crazy as what's going on in housing. Now, on housing for the young guys, I'd say don't worry too much about that. We all know what happened to the Dutch and the Dutch tulip craze. There is absolutely no reason to think that the outcome will be different this time. Now I get, you're a crypto maxer and you think, fiat currency is going to fall apart tomorrow. Okay, fine, whatever. Uh, here's the thing. What, this is, I've talked about this in passing, but one of the effects of mass deportations is going to be to gut the housing market, because you're talking about millions of people who all of a sudden don't need a house. They're not getting government paid Airbnb and Section 8s anymore.
Oh,
So on this one, on the housing situation for the young guys, I would actually say there I do have a little bit of hope for you because of what Trump is doing right now. That will take time. It takes about a year, 1 to 2 years for the housing markets to really start correcting. And that just has to do with how long leases last. So, all right, Steve sent us another one here. Yeah, exactly, Steve. Relationships are transactional, so older men have more resources to do the transaction, to make it. And that's
like, are
true.
you saying women are gold diggers?
Well, yes, he is saying that as well. But it gets to the point that helping old men is not where the value add is. It's helping young men. And sometimes for young men, I would just say, you know, be aware of what's going on, but understand the dynamics. Uh, we're talking about millions of deportations. Well, you know what that means? That millions of housing units coming online. Uh, so, yeah, it's going to depress the housing market. The boomers are going to cry rivers.
And the boomers are out there, and during this time, the boomers are they hold what 50% of the nation's wealth, and
Yep.
what's going to happen to all that wealth?
Uh, well, that's a fascinating question because I have that chart. I can throw it up here.
Yep.
Um, I'll share my screen. I'll throw it up here.
We've used this one several times before, but it's good. I really like the chart.
Yeah, there you go. Uh, let's see. I've got to. So I got to move it somewhere first. There we go.
There
Okay.
you go.
You guys have seen this before. Boomers own near as makes no difference $18 trillion worth of real estate. But that's based on current prices or prices as of 2023 when this chart was put together. This number goes up and down with the valuation of stocks and real estate. Oh, and we were talking about pensions earlier. There it is.
Oh, interesting.
There it is. Like I wasn't making this shit up. Uh, Gen X has a little bit more than half of the number of pensions. Millennials. Look at that.
You got nothing. Got
Well,
nothing.
and all of this is federal. This is all federal. This is a mix.
Uh,
This is all federal. And like if you work for this California state government, you might have one. So, these are typically defined benefits, so this won't go down much. It's these two that get wrecked. And well, okay, these three that get wrecked in a downturn. Okay, well,
private businesses? Oh yeah, because they're going to sell off. They're not going to hand it down to the children.
correct. Well,
Oh,
and
that's where part of that will go.
well, look,
Real estate.
1.4 in private business for millennials. We're talking about people ages 44 and younger now. 44 and younger, private business, 1.4 trillion. Baby boomers, almost 4 times as much. Or no, 6 times as much. This pie is not going down here. And when that transfer doesn't happen, the values evaporate until that transfer does happen. Okay. So I can take this off screen now, but so that's as Steve was saying, the older men have all of the resources, and they do, and then we are all just shocked and befuddled as to why women might be chasing after older men. Case in point, you just saw the graph of why women are transactional. They want that. They want the boomer pie. They don't want this pie.
Yep.
This is too small for the. They want this pie.
They want Leo.
Right. So if you're a young man, you're sitting here going, well, I got nothing. So when the boomers start complaining about their falling house values later this year as a result of Trump's deportations, gutting the number of people in the country, just stick your tongue out at the boomers and go, ha ha, you idiot.
Oh, imagine that. Oh, your generation's going away and there's not a market of people to even buy all that really.
Well, and you made sure that your children didn't have the resources to buy the properties. But it's like this collective hallucination that there's going to be a private equity bailout that they can sell to. It's like they're intentionally trying to make their children in a renter class. I do not understand this boomer mentality, except that I kind of do. If you look at it from that Nietzschean always compete, always competition mentality of, well, but then it kind of turns into, I have to break my kids. I have to kick them out and force them to fend for themselves, because how else will they become the ultimate, the ultimate humans? And I saw an interesting question on Twitter when I was doing research for the H-1B is there any other, I'm going to use the term race, but it's not really, are there any other countries where that's the default, like that's how they treat their children? I suppose there's probably some in Europe that Klaus will probably be in the comments later tonight telling me about, yeah, we do that here in Germany.
Western European,
yeah,
North American type thing.
Right, but like if you go to Asia, they look at they look at what we're doing and go, are you actually insane.
Yep.
Because it isn't what we are doing right now is in fact insane. So Nietzsche and this uh it is okay. Got a couple comments. I am not the value of my house. Yes, chief. Steve here. It is easier for a woman to fall in love when a man has more money. Yeah, and that's going to be a boomer right now. And an Xer. Xers have 30% of the pie. So between the two, if you're a woman, you want an Xer or a boomer. And that means you probably want an Xer because Xers are cooler and they're younger. So, okay, great. None of this helps young guys who are trying to establish themselves as men, as fathers, as husbands. You've in your effort to make sure that your children are properly Ubermensch, you have made sure that it is impossible for them to achieve Ubermensch status. Congratulations, you played yourself with a fantastic display of midwittery.
But it worked for me. All I had to do was wait tables and save up money, and I paid off my mortgage in 3 years.
Yeah, well, you also bought a house that was maybe 2 to 3 times your yearly income, maybe.
And the cost of living was not that high either.
Right. It's what we're talking about there is the in the intelligence circles, we call it the breakfast question. I used this last night on Shaw's. And the question is to the audience is, how would you feel if you did not eat breakfast this morning? And you're going to get one of two answers. If you have an IQ of above 90, 95, you're going to go, well, I'd probably feel pretty hungry. If you have an IQ below that, you're going to go, what do you mean I didn't eat? Or what do you mean I ate breakfast this morning? Is what so you're going to respond with what you actually did instead of. So what you're doing is you're asking a hypothetical counterfactual. And as a result, you can learn whether or not that person can roll back in time and then create a hypothetical that is different from what actually happened. And what the boomers are doing is a little more sophisticated than that, but it's the same basic logic failure. They are saying, well, I did it in my day, so surely you must be able to do it in your day. When the reality is that the conditions of your day are wildly different than the conditions of my day. Remember what I said about housing? Oh yeah, 1985 housing prices were average in line with historical averages, inflation adjusted. And then starting in 1990, they go ape shit. They make like a homesick rocket. Okay. So you were born in, well, all boomers and all Xers were born before housing went nuts. Now, if you're a late Xer, fine, I get it. You had to deal with the beginnings of this problem. You probably had to buy your house at 200% over historical average. Okay, that's great. I have to buy a house at 400% over average.
With no guarantee job and
with a job that can be replaced by an immigrant at a moment's notice.
Yeah.
Why are loan standards, mortgage standards going up? Everyone says, "Oh, it's interest rates." No. The banks actually want to lend more as interest rates go up because they make more. That's kind of the point. Higher interest rates, they make more, right? No, that's the reason loan standards are going up is because the banks have actuarials. They call it the risk management department, but these are just actuarial types looking at what the risk is on the average, you know, what is the average income over X number of years, 30, for example. How many times is this person going to become unemployed over that? What is my risk on this loan? And because the houses have gotten so much more expensive, the damage to the bank for you, the mortgage payer, losing your job goes way up because now they're left with a toxic asset that's worth 400 times what it would have been 40 years ago. So, like, why, if you're a bank, why would you give a mortgage to a young guy? Don't do that. That's tarded. Okay, so the young guys can't get mortgages.
Well, he easily got DEI'd out. Hopefully it's gonna trickle down and change to these private businesses and corporations, et cetera, not from the federal level. But you're still getting H-1B'd, right?
Well, and even if
And
you're not getting H-1B'd, uh, you are the wage suppression. Even if your job specifically isn't getting H-1B'd, the wage suppression caused by every other job getting, or by thousands or tens of millions of jobs getting H-1B'd, I think it's something like, over time, it's been something like, we do about 300,000 of these things, 300,000 to 400,000 a year. So you're talking about millions of jobs that have been wage suppressed.
on top of standard living, inflation.
All right.
Mm.
So
Mm.
when you economies are these giant network graphs, okay? So when you suppress the wage of one person, that's less money that they have to spend in the economy on other people. Okay? So you, as the even if you aren't being, like, even if you're not being kicked out to be replaced by an H-1B, the existence of the H-1B reduces the amount of money that could be spent on you, even if you're not yourself ever going to be kicked out by an H-1B. And so this is part of the reason why the wages have not kept up with, inflation or cost of living, however you want to measure it. I think that there's a graph of that, and I think it goes back to like everyone says, oh, the disconnect happens in the 1970s, and they all blame it on the gold standard. I don't. At least not entirely. It starts there. It wasn't helped by it, but go look at it again. You'll see it. You'll see another curve. You'll see another kink in the line in 1990. 1990 was the Immigration and Naturalization Act. Was the last time that was redone. That's where all the immigration stuff really got set up. That's even what you're experiencing today. So, actually, I'll see if I can go find that. There's a lot of different things that go into this, and to try and make it about one thing, okay, you go fix that one thing, and then you're sitting there going, well, why didn't that work?
There's multiple layers.
Right. And so that's why, this isn't the challenge of young men. This is challenges, plural, young men face. We were talking earlier in the stream about the disloyal 304s that would just as soon go get shit on by Middle Eastern dudes, for 50 grand as they would marry you. And they really don't want to marry you because you're not going to pay them like that.
And why
Okay.
would they do that? Probably because they might not have a good father in their life. Because, the boomers were screwed also by the legal system, but they also pushed the legal system. And they fuck over fathers and make these children raised by generally irresponsible single mothers.
Right.
And you're going to have a bunch of kids that have no moral compass, and there's no public shame, or very little.
Well, and
And
uh,
for,
okay.
for, for
Well,
money, they'll just go across the world and get shit on.
okay. Well, let's talk. Okay. So men.
Not to mention OF, so
Right.
that's
So
another thing.
we have disloyal hoes. We've got an economic situation that is actively working against young men. And then we have institutions. This could be the church, this could be secular institutions, media, etc., government, of course. And what are these institutions doing to help? What are they doing? They're nothing.
They're taking over institutions by the structural Nietzscheans.
You like that phrase, huh? Nietzsche structuralism.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so you've got okay, let's pick on one. The government. The government set up all
Yeah.
these laws about that incentivize women to leave. And
Yeah.
and then we act shocked when the women, leave.
Yeah. So let's start with like Duluth family law. Man bad. Allow the woman to man could be completely innocent. It could actually be the woman that's at fault and the abusive one in the situation. And well, anyways, take the man away. The woman gets free cash and prizes, helped out by all these communities, institutions, that even the courts. Now, worked in courthouses. I see all the flyers up on the wall. You can go up to the desk, get all these services for women, right? Well, they'll give you state sponsorship money to go travel and man bad and set him up, basically set your husband up, alienate him, and take the kids away. And he has a no contact order. He can't even say, hey, can we remedy the situation? No, he can't do that unless he herself does that. But no, then you have she's already has a story that's fun where they have all the church people, the church, the community. Oh, you go, girl, you get away from that bad man. Even though it could be complete bull crap, and the man's actually the one who's the victim.
Right.
And therefore, she's already set up temporary custody. Oh, she already has the kid. So you're having to fight an uphill battle. And then, in the best interest of the children, is usually, oh, well, if they make this allegation, then there's they don't have to prove it, but it's another thing where, according to their percentages, the man is more of a risk than the woman. So not only has he fight to try to get any custody, and he probably won't get custody because he, by default, has already taken the kids, he probably won't get them back, and he will lose custody of his kids or have some severely diminished custody.
Right. So the government so at first women are disloyal whores. Okay. And men don't the average man, the average young man today, because I really don't give a shit about the top 1%. They're going to take care of themselves no matter what. I don't even give a shit about the top 10%. They're going to take care of themselves no matter what. Okay. But the average dude out there dealing with a disloyal 3 or 4, like that's what that's her SMV, who, and he can't offer her even that 304 anything because he's been basically locked out of the market for so long that he has nothing. Okay. And then the government comes in and says, for all of you men of any age, we're going to incentivize her to leave you for cash and prizes.
Put you on the hook, throw you in
Okay.
jail if you fail to make those payments, which
Right.
might economically cripple you.
Right.
and
Oh,
then charge usury on top of that.
and then we have the tradcons coming in and saying, you know what, guys, you need to sign up to do all of that because we need to make the line the birth rate number, the birth rate line, we need to make that go up. Okay, but you haven't fixed anything else. We're still incentivizing
No.
women to leave. So you're just going to create a army of single mommies, and those single mommies are going to turn around and create an army of little criminals. And,
Yep.
but the tradcons will say, but your genetic legacy. Well, okay, but she still gets to take them from me whenever she decides she doesn't like me anymore. And I don't know, Nick, you actually know more about this than I do. I mean, I know you have quite the brood of kids, and you miss them when you don't get to see them. But how does it? I mean, are how much are they? I get that they're your genetic legacy, but you're not. You don't get to be involved in the parenting of them as much as you'd like. How much of that is
No,
the legacy of you, the person?
not much.
Okay, and this is, guys, Nick's outcome is not the worst case scenario. He gets to see his kids.
Yep.
There are a lot of guys out there
And try to
who,
fix chaos and throw them back into it.
right. And there's a
And all
lot
the
of
problems
guys,
are my fault.
and there's a lot of guys who they never get to see their kids. So, you know, you tradcons out there, you're saying, "Oh, but this is your legacy." Okay, fine. You might get to pass your genes down the line, but these kids aren't being raised by you at all. You never even get to see them. That's the worst case scenario. Okay, so a little bit of DNA, and that's my sum total legacy, and that's what I'm supposed to sign up for.
That's all you are. That's what you've been reduced to by the TradCon sometimes.
A DNA. Oh, so
You're just
I'm
a
a
DNA donor.
DNA.
You're a sperm
Exact. Yeah,
donor.
yeah. I'm a glorified sperm donor to the tradcons. Okay.
Now come get your communion cup and your blessing.
Oh well, the church is going to come into this next because we're talking about institutions right now. What does the church say? That the
Simp. Most on the whole, they're mostly simps run by women. Either that nasty ass bishop that was
oh God.
talking to Trump, that abomination. Um, yeah, that's what they are. Abominations, or the women in the church really having the pants, and the pastors and elders being afraid to ever confront them for their shit.
Well, and the church. So if you don't like the secular message of TradCon Inc., you can always go to the church and you can get the church version of the same message. Because the church version of the message is, come on, guys, it's your godly duty to, it's what is that? Go forth and multiply. That's
Be
Genesis, right?
fruitful and multiply. Yeah, that's a good thing. But
I'm not saying I'm not saying it's a bad thing. What I'm saying is that yet again, the church comes in and says, wife up this used up whore who has quote unquote repented. Well, what and with or repented asterisk because we still don't know how much repenting and changing has actually been done. But you got to wife him up and you got to start popping out kids. And oh, by the way, when she accuses you of doing something, we are going to side with her. And in addition to the legal ramifications, we are going to heap scorn on you just because she made an allegation. We're not going to investigate it because hashtag believe all women. Okay.
yeah.
Right. Yeah. So the
Now,
messaging
it's not
for,
every church. There's a few good ones out there, but on the whole, yeah, pretty much how they act.
okay. So again, the messaging for guys is At the institutions at every level is a giant fuck you. It's a
Yep.
giant middle finger. And, you know, this is kind of a grab bag episode. We're not going to dive too deep into any one of these problems because the point is that the I want to fix the demographics too, but I am not so smooth brained as to think that I can just do one thing and make it all go away. And that is a smooth brain take.
No, you actually have to fix the actual problem instead of kicking the can down the road. Like we said in other episodes, you actually have to fix the foundational problem if you
And
want your society or civilization to thrive. Oh, but young men face all these challenges. Oh, and they got mad about the H-1B. Oh, they're not married. Oh, they don't have housing. Hmm. Maybe you should actually look at the actual challenges and problems that they have, which are foundational for the good of a civilization.
exactly. That's what I was going to say. Is you the reason that society is falling apart is not because society lost one pillar. No, there has been systematic destruction of every pillar of society.
Yep.
And this idea that we're just going to come, oh well, uh, I still listening to Jeremy Boring in February of last year get up on camera and say, "Well, guys, you need to get married now," and we understand that, that there's all these problems out there, but politics takes a long time, so you just need to do it now, and maybe we'll get to that in 20 years. 20 years?
No, they won't. No, they're trying to. That's a quick. That's like, oh, just sign now, and yeah, we'll fix the issue with your problem with your vehicle later. No, you're buying it as is.
Right.
Future promises, unless it's outlined in the contract, no, it's not outlined in the contract. That's an empty promise.
Yeah, it's that is Jeremy Boring's attempt to get you to sign the marriage contract, and which is an unconscionable contract for young men today. And then he gets all butthurt when they don't. Well, dude, you just told them to literally get fucked, and when they come to you and they say, "Well, what about this problem and that problem?" you go, "You're just a whiny little bitch. Get, you need to get in line. Get back on the plantation." I think we've used that metaphor too. Okay.
Yeah.
Great. All Jeremy Boring is actually going to achieve is alienating an entire generation of young men because we act like people are these um interchangeable economic units that I can just
Hogs in the
oh
machine.
right. Well, I use the term economic not because we're talking about it's another term would be cogs in interchangeable cogs in a machine, right? That I can just install a program on a human mind and they will run that program without questioning the program. Like I demand that you run this program because I double clicked on outlook.exe and the computer says, okay, I have to run out. No, humans aren't, the human mind is not a computer. It's,
Right.
it,
Contrary to that movie with Keanu Reeves that I watched recently, Replicant. Yeah, basically saying you can grow these humans and download uh, their um, their data, and they're the same person.
replicant.
So
I'm going to add that to our list of movies to watch. Ooh. So, okay. And if you play it forward, when you refuse and you refuse and you refuse to actually make a sacrifice to your own lifestyle to help somebody else, Oh, this is. Oh, sorry. I'm going to finish my thought. Then, Tacticus, I saw your question. I will get to it. Um, when you do all of this stuff and you refuse to sacrifice any iota of your own from your own self because the other person is just supposed to pick themselves up by the bootstraps, and that's just how it's supposed to be. They actually there's this is actually very similar to how and Shaw pointed it out to me last night, so I'm going to keep using this. Um, that's actually how you start a revolution. When you back men into so many into when you take away any options and then you start poking them.
Like you take a man's family away and his
Yeah,
children. Then you want to keep poking the bear. Okay.
right. And
And some men do some crazy things. I condemn it. Nobody should. I have a moral compass, a purpose in my life. I follow the Lord. But I can understand that reaction.
well, and they act like the other men around them don't see this happening, right? No. The other guys, the younger guys in particular, they're watching what people like Nick are going through. And they see the same things happening in the lives of their friends and they go, "Well, why would I ever be involved with any of this?" Yeah. Okay. Why would they be involved in any of this? You haven't given them an out. You haven't given them a way to say, no, you can't just take my kids. No, you can't just leave because you got a better offer from some dude halfway around the world. You're actually going to have to sit here and, oh, no, you can't just fire me because you can replace me with a guy who will take 10% less. Until, as I said on Shaw's show last night, men need three things. They need a loyal wife, they need a stable job, and they need a government or social structure that is stable and pro-social.
Not socialism, but that it's good for society,
Yeah,
the
exactly.
well-being of the Commonwealth.
A structure of society that is good for the society. Right now, we have
Oh,
none of those.
interesting. Interesting how the church used to talk about that as confessions and the church fathers, reformers, and all sorts of stuff, even in like the 19th century. But when feminism took over, all that crap went out the window
Yeah.
and just blaming daddy. And wife up these single mommies. You
Right.
Captain Save-A-Ho.
So the church is antisocial, the government is antisocial, the women are antisocial. Oh, hey, look, that's these antisocial behaviors that we have built into our society are coming home to roost. Shocking of most shocking of possible outcomes, right? We you make every piece of I know, right? Yeah, you make every piece of society antisocial, and then you are shocked to find out that the society falls apart.
And hates your institutions, loathes you. I mean, just you made yourself not only an enemy of the family, enemy of men, enemy of civilization, enemy of God, enemy of nature. I mean, you've done all this, and you've robbed them. You've robbed them of their hopes and dreams. You've robbed them of their family.
So I'm going to put something up on the screen here again. This is something that I read this years ago, and I read it to the guys uh, last week, I think. But
You have to blow that up. I can't see it.
You can't see that? Okay, we'll blow it up then. Is that better?
Yep.
Okay. The most terrifying force of death comes from the hands of men who wanted to be left alone. They try so very hard to mind their own business and provide for themselves and those they love. They resist every impulse to fight back, knowing the forced and permanent change of life that will come from it. They know that the moment they fight back, their lives as they have lived them are over. The moment the men who want to be left alone are forced to fight back, it is a form of unaliving. Can't say that word on YouTube. They are literally killing off who they used to be, which is why, when forced to take up violence, these men who wanted to be left alone fight with unholy vengeance against those who unalived their former lives. They fight with raw hate and a drive that cannot be fathomed by those who are merely play acting at politics and terror. True terror will arrive at these people's doors, and they will cry, scream, and beg for mercy, but it will fall upon the deaf ears of the men who just wanted to be left alone.
True word.
An interesting facet of antisocial philosophy is because it is not the normal human state, it requires constant intervention, which is another way of saying you cannot leave the man alone to live his life. You have to
You
be,
cannot.
yeah, because they have to be constantly correcting them. In a
Mm-hmm.
in a pro-social form, society would be allowed to, in an almost laissez-faire sort of way, develop along its own lines.
Well, nature, and then of course correcting the things that are contrary to the good, which I would say contrary to the moral law. Oh, like you have institutions like the church teaching the moral law again, having them well grounded. The government actually punishes true crime, not made up bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and they try to keep the most stable, the most foundational unit of civilization, which is the family, intact.
Well, you brought up the punishing real crime versus made up crime, and I think that's a huge part of this because when you're punishing crimes that are made up, you're punishing crimes that aren't really crimes. And in order to do
Sometimes the
that,
only
you
crime they have is they can't afford a lawyer to go to trial, especially a jury trial, and so they take plea deals. I did
yeah,
that. I regret
yeah, and so they're forcing you
it.
to
Yeah,
admit to something that's not
you want it to just fucking end.
right. Yeah, exactly. You sign it to make
Period.
it go away. And and when you do that to an entire group of people in an entire society, eventually that society just says, fuck it, got nothing else to lose. Let's go. And then you find out real quick that, you know, the play acting line, I think, is key here too. All of this made up bullshit, it's play acting. It's the theater kids. That was another thing I saw on Twitter recently. You know, the on the last day, so it's January 19th, the White House put out this statement that said that the 28th Amendment is the law of the land, despite the archivist confirming that the 28th Amendment was never ratified and is not actually a thing. But they put it out as it's called the Equal Rights Amendment or something like that. It was basically an attempt to codify DEI. And so on the last day of the Biden administration, they put out the statement that says the Equal Rights Amendment is the law of the land. And it's like, uh, everyone says no, like even your own administration says no. It's because they were it was a play. It was an act. It was an attempt to sway some opinions somewhere. It wasn't real. but that's all these people know how to do. They play act at stuff. Tacticus quoted this.
Oh, he put that little uh, editorial at the end until they push you too far. Yeah,
He did.
Well, vengeance belongeth to the Lord. Private citizens not to take up, arms against the civil magistrate. That's not his office. He's to withstand. He can protest. He can do all that is within him, but he's not to touch. As we say, you don't resist the minister of the Lord physically.
Well,
Now,
okay.
Another civil magistrate could, and that's the doctrine of lesser magistrates. Is another thing which is valid.
So, okay, Chief responding to Tacticus in the chat. If you prick us, do we not bleed? And these two comments actually, I'll cycle through them here a little bit. These two comments get to a question that I've always had. I understand that we are, and I agree that we are not supposed to take up arms. But what do you do when there is no magistrate to do it for you?
Well, usually people band together and there's an unofficial leader, and he becomes essentially a civil magistrate, like some of the Germanic tribes in the time of the Roman Empire, or
So a group of men comes together and decides that now is the time to start. Well, I don't even want to say that on YouTube because I really don't want that to be a thing. But But it goes back to that what we were reading earlier, what I read earlier. It will fall upon the deaf ears of the men who just wanted to be left alone. At some point, that's coming. When? I don't know.
I actually don't want it to come.
Yeah, well,
I want them to fix the problem.
Well,
I want them to fix the problem. That's why we're talking.
They keep choosing not to fix the problem, and as long as they keep choosing that, everyone's kind of treating this as like, well, if we just ignore this, maybe it'll go away. No. The longer you ignore it, the worse it gets. And there does come a day when, and on this stream, we've mentioned a few times that, we'll be talking about something, and then at the same time, a bunch of people just spontaneously decided to all talk about that same thing at the same time. Okay, well, that can happen. I believe the word is serendipity or something like that. But that can happen in meat space too. That can happen offline, off of the YouTube chattering channels. And I fully acknowledge that we are just one of many chattering channels. Now we're trying to do our thing, deliver our type of content. Mostly it's content that we would want. We try to write and design and deliver content we would want to listen to. But what, at some point this will spill out of the online and into the real world, and that's going to be a fun time. And the interesting thing is there will be some release valves out of the stuff that the Trump administration is doing, like the killing the DEI thing, and then having businesses basically stand up and say, yeah, we didn't ever really want to do that. And it was too much of a liability for us. It was costing us too much money. Okay, that's good.
Will this affect women getting hired?
Probably not.
Mm.
It just probably means that there's less of a thumb on the scale against men. Like I think the official quotas are going to go away at a lot of places.
Thank God. Because right now the results are, for many men, I wrote down before, Apathy, pizza, ice cream, candy, video games, and corn.
Yeah, pretty much. Now, I mean, we're 2 days into an administration, so there's you're not going to see a lot of change tomorrow. But are you going to see the question is how much change you're going to see over the next 2 years? I mean, the uh, the deportations are happening. That's a good thing. That is
Right.
just you know there are good things happening. It's going to take a while. The question is it enough? And I don't know if it is or not.
It won't be if you don't fix the problem, the challenges facing young men. You cannot continue to have generations of single women, single mommies raising another man's kids and then putting him on the hook for alimony and child support and raising his kids to be degenerate pieces of crap. Because you're
Right.
going to have, guess who's going to grow up and who's going to be in charge of the policies? Oh, the next generation of degenerate kids.
Right. You know, we're you haven't or we could say the churches. The churches are going to continue to fade unless they start picking up a more pro-social, pro-biblical, hierarchical, patriarchal message.
And not the social gospel, not that egalitarian, unbiblical, miracle denying social gospel, not that crap. Talking about a whole counsel of God, moral law has ramifications for church, family, and state.
Yeah.
Imagine that.
So,
And
okay,
it's a
so the
hierarchy,
church
patriarchy.
the church needs to change. We need to be changing laws all over the place about, family law just needs to be done away with and rethought. Uh, yeah, tacticus exactly. The
No, no, he says it. No, no, no. He doesn't. Tacticus, he didn't go far enough. It's an abomination and a tyranny. They are fucking evil. The government incursion to the family dynamic is an expansion and overreach. Indeed, that is recent. Yeah. It's fucking evil. They're actual tyrants and abominations.
right. So this idea, one of the problems that we run into in these times of, I'm going to use Chief's word here, volatility. In times of high volatility, this idea that you can make slow and steady changes and that will solve the problem. I can tell you right now, as a trader, that's a really good way to die. It's really, really good way to blow up your account is to, oh, I'm going to make small incremental changes because we're conservatives, we conserve. We're not the party of big change. We're the party of trying to save what was. Congratulations. In times of high volatility, you lose
Yep.
because you aren't reacting. And maybe even reacting isn't the right word. You're not doing enough. What volatility is telling you is you're not doing enough. You're not
You're
reacting
not really
fast
about
enough.
making America great again.
Yeah. Tacticus, exactly. Catch the falling knife slowly. Yeah, that'll work. uh, and look, what ends up happening when you try and, as a trader, when you try and catch the falling knife slowly, you know what happens? You bleed out slower. You're still dead at the end of it. It just takes a little while longer. And Nick, you were saying they keep kicking the can down the road. Well, the can is getting heavier and the kick isn't kicking it as far. And I don't think you're going to, is Trump making big changes? Not really. Going back to deportations is going back to what? Probably 2010. the Obama years. Okay. Nothing about what's caused the state we're in, or very little of what's caused the state we're in now originated during the Obama years. It all, most of your actual problems today, family law problems, they originated, goodness, what, the 60s? Something like that.
Partly
Steve,
before, but yeah.
right. Steve would be here to correct me if on that. But okay, so all your family law problems originate, 50 years before, what Trump's taken us back to 2010, and that's not a bad thing, but it's like he's trying to blunt the worst of it, and it's like, okay, but you're not achieving, it's not enough anymore, because you have worked so hard to kick the can for so long, from when the changes needed to be made, that it's just not enough. And people are like, I'll tell you right now, on this immigration thing, there's some people who are they're fine with everything he's done, and they think that's enough. There's a lot of people out there who are like, that's a good start, so when do we get the rest of it? And immigration is not the only one of those like that. There was a bunch of people. What was the other big one that came up? On this DEI stuff. Like, okay, yeah, getting, executive ordering it out of the federal government is good, but I think it was Ann Coulter said this on Twitter. It's like, okay, it's good. It's a good thing that it's gone, but executive orders are, she said, written in sand. They're not written in concrete or,
Right.
So are we, and people are starting to ask, okay, are we going to pass laws to prevent the next Democrat president from undoing all this good stuff we just did?
Right. Like flipping a switch every 4 years.
Which is useless. One of the interesting things about volatility is that in most cases in trading, the actual correct answer is to do nothing at all. Like, as a trader, and I do this when I see the volatility coming. The kind of trading I do, I like the volatility, but most traders, like if you're, if you just, or if you invest in, if you're just a stock investor, right? You're just a buy and hold investor. If we're in high volatility, you just need to stop, because you don't know what's going to happen day to day, and you can't manage it. And that's how most people operate. So we are expecting men to buy in a time of high volatility. That's dumb. Catch the falling knife slowly. It won't work. Steve.
Yeah, Steve. There you go. This is in the 70s. Okay.
Oh, okay. Well, okay. There's another example of, you have to go back further than Obama 2010. And tactic is, yeah, pretty much. Executive orders are the new proxy fourth branch of government. Hooray. That, like, congratulations, we played ourselves. Because the executive orders are incredibly impermanent. They'll be washed away the next time the waves come in. Hooray, we won nothing. So, again, it's going to take some time. We'll see what, if any, legislation passes that to actually start to put some of this down into law. But I'm not, of the current crop, I'm personally not that hopeful that much will change. At this point, maybe a rupture is the best way to get change to happen. I don't know. Humans seem to want to work that way.
Our democracy, people think our democracy still works. No. We are not a moral people for this republic or democracy. Our form of government keep functioning the way it is.
Yeah.
It cannot.
Who was it that's was that Ben Franklin who
I
said
think it was Adams or Jefferson or something like that.
oh, it was Ben Franklin who said a republic if you can keep it.
Um,
He was asked, what form of government do we have, and he said a republic if you can keep it, which is it's referring back to what Adams said about this government is a government for a moral people and no other. Those two statements go hand in hand. Yeah, we are not a moral people, and therefore we are struggling to keep our republic. Shock and surprise. So yeah.
and by the way, the young people don't really give a crap about your boomer demagoguery about the temple of democracy. You,
Yeah, they really don't.
the demos worshippers, you pagans. But republic, democracy, stop worshiping the state. It's not more important than Jesus. Jesus is king. Christ is king, not your temple of demos or democracy. Get over yourself. It's not permanent. The United States will probably one day fall. I hope it's not anytime soon.
Yeah,
But
me too.
the younger people, a lot of younger people don't give a crap. We don't give a crap. We're so freaking tired of it.
Well,
Whatever system of government does what is right. I think the Constitution's great. And the later crap added to it, not so much. But
I think I don't know if I necessarily agree that the younger generation doesn't care. I think they care, but they've decided that the current system is never going to work for them. And so they're kind of looking at it going, it's more I think it's more apathetic. Like they like what the United States is. They like what it's the ideals and but they look at it and go, yeah, but it's not that. And so they're frustrated that it isn't working the way it's supposed to work.
no, it's arbitrary law. It's the vote of masses, not laws based upon natural law, common law, gone away from a lot of that, and into just whoever has the most power dictate. In whatever form, it could be bureaucracy, it could be the bureaucracy of Congress, the judges, executive branch, or other things that make decisions, agencies.
Yeah.
People see this, they're tired of it.
Yeah, my kind of read of the situation is that they're not apathetic. They are frustrated but they've kind of come to a group conclusion that what we're doing now ain't working. And they don't really know what else they're going to do right now. And I think that's where that sort of that it looks like apathy because they have no idea what to do. But I don't know that that's actual apathy, as in they just don't care. I wonder if I think it's more of a, they just don't know what to do. And so they kind of go bouncing off in all sorts of strange directions.
There's a problem, guys. There's challenges rooted deep in young men. And either you do something about it or fallen man's nature generally takes its course.
That's actually a really good way to put it. Fallen man.
Yep.
In the ideal world, none of these bad things we're talking about would happen, but we don't live in the ideal world.
We don't live in that.
So
we live in a unchurched, apostate nation that still has the guise of Christianity. We live in a society of fallen men, not redeemed men. And so you can count on fallen man's nature acting according to what fallen men do.
which is how you get a rebirth of
Scary.
natural law. At the far end of it, it's terror as you're going through it, but at the far end of it, there's a rebirth of natural law. Why? Because the fallen men are following their fallen state, which is as expected in a natural law world.
Hey, Bert, good to see you. I didn't know I had the same haircut. Thank you. Oh, yeah, you should, Tacticus. Take this seriously for your two sons. Yeah,
Well,
absolutely.
that's why we're here. Today is Light on Solutions. We're an hour and a half in, and you know the idea behind this one was kind of an overview of where men are, why things aren't working. This and really trying to get across this idea that you've got to fix a lot of different things in order to start to actually fix the problem. Even I guess if you say declining birth rates are the problem, then I guess I would reply with, so fix this long list of things, and they'll give you the Jeremy Boring answer of, well, that's going to take too long, so you just need to buck up now. Honestly, I would tell
That
men,
contract?
yeah, I would tell men
No.
no, because the moment you do that, you disincentivize them from making the changes.
Right. Again, it's
No,
like the car contract. Oh, but don't worry, it's not in the car contract you're signing. This future promise of fixing a problem that you saw with the vehicle. It's just you're just going on. You're trusting the word of the used car salesman, right?
yeah, don't do that.
Don't do that. It's got to be in the contract before you sign it. Otherwise, it's bullshit.
Yeah,
They will not. They will not spend extra money to fix your crap.
not if they don't absolutely have to,
No.
which put it in the contract. So
Contract.
yeah, just for the guys out there, I mean, keep the young guys out there, keep doing your thing. Don't give these guys, don't give them the time of day. Even they're not here to help you. They're here to push their fucked up view of what the future should be. Women should have all of these rights to your money, and you should just take it because their version of Christianity says that you should just take it, or their definition of pro-social government is that you should just take it. No, you are more than a wage mule. You're more than an economic unit for the state. Honestly, if we could just convince young men to value themselves better, higher.
A lot of them are just desperate for a woman, though. Just be honest. And picking their slims when they get one, they're not thinking.
Yeah, I know.
And they don't
Hey,
know any better. They haven't been
hey,
taught.
that was me. Goodness, I met my ex 2010, got married in 2012. So yeah, that was me 13 years ago.
Yeah. I thought I was doing all the right things. No. Old world standards, sure. I did not understand I didn't understand the reality of modern women and the law,
Yeah.
the tyrannical law, the family courts, the tyrants and abominations. So that's
Well,
what we're
Nick,
here. We're trying to tell you the problem so that you guys are aware. And in hopes that people that might be listening, they might say, oh, maybe there is a real problem. Oh, I can really see this going bad really quickly. Maybe we should address the actual problem. I pray that somehow that this reaches young men's ears and people in charge. And if you're one of those tyrants, then repent. Stop doing that bull crap.
Well, I think we can actually probably wrap this one on that right there from Nick. Don't know that anything else needs to be said other than that. Yeah, I like that. We've been at this for an hour and 45 now. I think we've probably, between the two of us, I think we've listed out enough.
Yeah.
You know, do we need to go into the gruesome detail? Probably not for this.
Nah.
So, yeah, if you guys like what you heard, drop this video a like. You have any questions, comments about what you heard, I'm sure you guys can tell us something we missed in this list, because the list is long. Leave a comment. If you want to hear more, please subscribe so that you can get the notifications. We do this every Wednesday, 5:45 Pacific, 8:45 Eastern, and then whatever Nick's time zone is in the middle of the country. I have to pick on him.
Oh, what's the middle of the country called? The Central?
Yeah, you people in flyover country.
What are we doing next week?
I completely forget. It's Steve's idea next week. I just forget what he called it, and he's not around to tell us what it is. So yeah.
I gotta put that one up.
Okay. That's Obi-Wan.
Steve, you got called Obi-Wan.
Yeah, Steve gets to take a vacation, though. That's something he gets to do once every now and again. I already know that there's going to be enough based on the way my schedule's shaping up this year that I'm going to miss. So yeah, we'll let Steve let Steve have his time off. And he showed up in the chat, so thank you for that, Steve. Well, yeah. Well, Nick, it was fun chatting with you this evening. And we will see you all. We'll see you all next week, everyone. Bye.
Later.